To track or not to track? That is the question. Nobody ever gained body fat eating too much salad. Half-arsing it, you're wasting your time. Somebody will pop up in the fucking comments and say tracking's the best thing since sliced bread, which it is for some people. I fucking love carbs. Welcome back to this week's episode of the pod. Today we are going to talk about calorie tracking. Who should be tracking calories and who needs to bin off MyFitnessPal and ditch NutriCheck ASAP. So tracking calories is a super useful tool for beginners who haven't got a fucking clue about food. Now, often I have women come to me for help and they think they know about food, and it's only when we start to dig into it and maybe they do a little bit of tracking that they realise they are in fact fucking clueless. So it's a really useful tool for building knowledge quickly. It helps you understand how many calories you're consuming, which you need to know if your goals include fat loss or even maintenance, or even gaining actually. It's interesting, it's important to know around about how many calories you're consuming, your protein intake and your portion control. So it helps you see that you might be overeating certain foods that you have previously deemed as like healthy. And they might be healthy from a nutritional perspective, but if your goal is fat loss, you still need to know how many fucking calories are in it. Things that are highly calorific, for example, that you could be overeating would be like granola, nut butters, handfuls of nuts, olive oil that's about 120 calories per dash. These are things that you need to know if your goals include fat loss. And calorie tracking is a really useful, short-term way of having a look at what's going on with your food and building that knowledge. But like most things with calorie tracking, you get out what you put in. If you half-arse it, if you only track calories from Monday to Thursday and then fuck it off for the weekend, you've got inaccurate data. And if you know anything about research, you know you need the full picture in order to like summarise it and go, right, what do we need to tweak? So if you are going to calorie track, right, if you're new to it, if you want to learn about food, if your goals include fat loss and you go, right, I'm going to have a go at calorie tracking, know that you need to go all in. Does all in mean weighing broccoli and strawberries? No, because as I said to a new client last night, nobody ever got fat off eating too much fucking broccoli, right? We know that wasn't the problem. The only thing I would suggest you weigh would be your carbs. So your rice, your pasta, your potatoes, granola, cereals, porridge. Not because there's anything wrong with carbs. Our bodies loves carbs. It's our body's favourite source of fuel. I fucking love carbs. But carbs are delicious. So we tend to overeat them. They're also calorie dense. So it's just about building knowledge. Weighing your carbs is going to help you understand where you can make a few tweaks. But that's the only thing I'd be weighing. I would not be stressing about tracking in salad because, like I say, nobody ever gained body fat eating too much salad, too many veggies, too many apples, right? So be logical about it. Think of calorie tracking as using a map to a destination that you are currently unsure of. So if you're accurate with your tracking, you read the map correctly and you're consistent with it, you use it every time you're trying to get to the destination, eventually you're going to have the knowledge, the know-how, and you're going to trust yourself and have the confidence that you can get there without the map. It becomes second nature to you. That's exactly what tracking is. So if you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out, if you're half-arsing it, you're wasting your time. You've just got another tab open and you're already busy brain. So if you are new, if you're a beginner, this is your choice you've got to make. Now, you either track or you don't track, but don't half-arse it and have one more tab open, right? Close that tab unless you're ready to go. No, I really want to look at my food and get to grips with what I'm consuming. Here's people who I think should not track. Women who are in a state of overwhelm. So if you come to me and one of your main concerns is that you are stressed, you are overwhelmed, you can't think straight, the last thing you want to do is add tracking into the mix, okay? We want to get to grips with your behaviours, and that starts outside of food. We want to start by reducing your feelings of overwhelm so that you can think straight. Adding in calorie tracking when you're stressed out your tits is a recipe for disaster. So if you came to me in that state, I'd be like, nah, we're not even talking about calories right now. We're looking at reducing your overwhelm, regulating your nervous system and building in positive behaviours around food. If you are somebody who has struggled with disordered eating in the past, I would not suggest getting obsessed with tracking calories. If you are somebody who struggles with binging, it's about behaviours. It's about managing hunger and energy and dopamine, not tracking calories. ADHD, probably not best suited to tracking calories, because you will know you go all in with stuff, you get obsessed with stuff, then you might fuck it off completely. Like, we need to look at behaviours for these demographics of people. If you are tracking calories, that needs to be alongside the behaviours anyway. And when we talk about behaviours, if you're a client of mine or you have followed me for any length of time, you know I'm talking about the 3-2-1 principle that I bang on about, because it fucking works, because it makes sense. 3 meals a day, 2 portions of fruit and or veg on each of those plates, 1 portion of protein for 80% of the time. Say it with me, because we're not fucking robots, and you won't be far off anyway. You will naturally snack less. You'll manage hunger. You won't overeat in the evenings. So no matter what you're doing, I would always encourage you to look at your behaviours. But I wanted to point out the kind of people I'd be saying you should be staying away from tracking, in my opinion. Which you always have to say when you're on the internet, don't you? In my opinion, because somebody will pop up in the fucking comments and say tracking's the best thing since sliced bread, which it is for some people, but not everyone. Now, this is the interesting bit that I think a few of you listening in might feel attacked. I hope you do. If you are still trying to track calories, you're dithering about with it 1, 2, 3 years down the line, you need to stop and ask yourself, what's going on under the surface? Because what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And if you're still tracking 1, 2, 3 years down the line, something's not fucking adding up. You've still got the same goals, you're still using the same method, but you haven't quite yet achieved that result and managed to maintain it. So what's going on? It's your behaviours. If you are using tracking to keep you accountable or to give you permission to eat, i.e. when you put something in that app, you know that you can have it because it fits in your calories, that is not a long-term success strategy. When I'm saying it back to you now, you're probably thinking, no, that sounds a bit fucking mental actually, but that's my job. I am the person who sits outside the maze and looking in going, why are you doing that, mate? We need to do it a different way. Tracking 1, 2, 3 years later, to me, it's not a long-term solution. Something is underlying. We need to get to grips with your behaviours, because if you've tracked for more than 3 months, you know food. You know what's high in protein. You know what a portion of carbs should look like. You do not need MyFitnessPal or NutriCheck to tell you how to eat. So I want you to call yourself out, because it's not keeping you accountable. It's just dusting over the fact you haven't sorted your shit out with food. You're using that app to give you permission to eat instead of asking questions like, am I hungry? Am I full? What else am I feeling away from hunger? Am I looking for a dopamine hit? If food was off the table, what else is there? What might my body need outside of food to feel better? Have I eaten enough today? Did I skip a meal? Have I had enough fruit and veg? Have I been following the 3-2-1 principle? These are all things that are going to get you results, and then the maintenance bit, the hard bit, that's what keeps that happening long after tracking calories. One more thing, girls. If you haven't downloaded a free copy of my Basic Bitch Bible, you need that in your life. Go to the description, download it, and it's all yours. Bedtime reading that could change your life.